always like teasing me that, well, we'll get you eventually, you'll quilt eventually. And I was like, no, 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 no. And I bought a layer cake of that tulip pink fabric, and then it sat there in my craft room for like a year. And then I was finally like, okay, I'm gonna do it. My grandmother's quilted, and my one grandmother was constantly, her specialty was hand quilting. So most of the year, the dining room table was shoved to the side and there was a quilt in a frame in the middle of the room. And so I remember being a little kid and playing underneath the quilt while grandma was working, and playing my games with my toys under there. Just always quilting when she wasn't doing housework. That is the first quilt I ever made. That's what got me into quilting. My mom, my aunts, my best friend have all been quilting a lot longer than I have, and so I went to lots of quilt shops with them. And I have an art background, so it was always fun helping pick out fabrics and deciding what colors go together. And they were always like teasing me that, well, we'll get you eventually, you'll quilt eventually. And I was like, no, 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 no. And I bought a layer cake of that tulip pink fabric, and then it sat there in my craft room for like a year. And then I was finally like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Usually, we've done a few things where I've kind of made some things up. My family, we did a round robin project where each of us would do part of a quilt, and then we'd pass it to the next person to add the next round on. So those were kind of fun. Got to experiment with, well, what if I just cut pieces of this size and put them together, or cutting at angles, and kind of made my own patterns there. But usually for big quilts, I'm still mostly following patterns. I like the challenge of trying something new. Like, I went right in. My second quilt I did was an Elizabeth Hartman quilt, the ones with like a million little pieces, but I liked it, and I'm like, oh, it's cutting squares and triangles, I'll figure it out. I a lot of times get to the point of the binding needs to go on, and then I can't make myself do it. I've got one of those sitting there right now.
It's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, binding is the
Yeah.
bane of a lot of quilters.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind the hand sewing part. It's the like, okay, I just gotta do it. Yeah.
Do it and go.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a separate club of people that don't like to bind.
It'd be a very large club, I think.
It would be it's a pretty common thread.
Yeah. I'd say it's like pressing, like when I have the big swaths of pressing to do. Like, I don't mind pressing little pieces and doing that, but when it comes time to like press the whole quilt top or press big long pieces, for some reason it's a struggle. I feel like I'm just juggling things and doing it wrong every time. I don't know. I like just the chance to talk to other people that I run across just in my day-to-day, in my work, things like that. I'll talk to someone and find out, oh, you're a quilter too. And so then we can go talk about quilts forever. And because like I said, I work in the arts, so there's a lot of people that are quilters or have textile art background. And so it gives me a common point to talk with them. I think my advice is don't be afraid to try it. Like I said, that's kind of how I kind of just jumped in with it. That what's the worst that can happen? You have some pieces of fabric that don't go together, and so you cut them and try again, or you start over with something new. It's not life or death if it doesn't quite work right the first time. So try it. It might be an easier thing than you think. I quilt because it's a creative outlet that lets me bond with my family. We go to shops together and can spend all day and talking about why we're picking what fabric, because we all have very different tastes, and so sometimes it's fun to be like, oh, I wouldn't have picked those to go together, but if you like it, or you know, just helping each other out, and then when we actually do sew together and just giving each other ideas, and it's our excuse to hang out together. One time we did a thing where we were all working on the same quilt pattern. We all just used really different fabrics, and they all ended up really different. Or sometimes it's just nice to be all in the same room and sewing and talking and eating and laughing and having somebody else there to give an opinion or go, why doesn't this look right? How can I get this to make sense? Hi, I'm Megan, and this is why I quilt.